My bad. Yeah, please interrupt me if I missed recording. Sure. So now we started. Are you seeing that record, that icon there?
Yes, yes, thanks.
So in just
Maybe just
30 seconds,
quickly.
I can go through the examples which we have done. Here we have seen the use of super. When we were doing super dot color, output was white and black. In the same way, in the second example, we have seen super dot it. Output was, it was calling the it of the parent class and the bark of the child class. Likewise, in the third example, we have seen what explicitly this super keyword will do. This super keyword will be calling the constructor of the parent class, which means here we got output as animal is created and dog is created. Now this is the fourth one which we were doing before our recording. So here in this program, we have not written anywhere this super keyword. In the previous program, this super was no written from our end explicitly. But if I am not writing this, and see, I am clearing this console. And if I'm going to run this, animal is created, dog is created. Let me say animal 1, just to ensure that no, it's not output of the previous program. Okay. So how come when I'm saying here also we have just created this object. After creation of this object, what it will do, it is going to go to constructor, and output should be dog is created only by normal programming if we go. But whenever this constructor is being called, and this concept is what automatically it is going to no, your compiler is going to implicitly add super statement. Means if I am not writing this, your compiler is going to write this statement. Once you are going to do the Java C of the animal, this test super for or the animal class or the dog class, whenever it is going to be created. So the moment this dog class is going to be created, there inside that in dot class, if you are going to open, you are going to see this. In my repo where all these things are stored. So if you see code Java training, this is the repo which we have created. Day 5 is there, and you can see the bin folder. Inside this bin folder, this classes has been created. Whatever I am saving it, compiling it, and this class are being created. Let us open this animal 4, and then dog 4 also should be there. Dog 4.
Sagar, we can see only the Eclipse screen, not the
Oh,
folders.
my bad, sorry. Okay, let me share the entire desktop then. So what I was saying is, this is my local workspace, core Java training. So in the local workspace, if I come to day 5, you will be getting src folder, and then you will be getting bin folder. This bin folder in Eclipse, we are not able to see anywhere, correct? In Eclipse, we are seeing the JRE system supported file and the src folder. But if this Java files are there, and when we are compiling it, it is creating .class file somewhere. Where it is creating, automatically your ID is creating this bin folder, and in the bin folder, you are having all this .class files. Let me see if I can open this on the text wrangler. Line number Java Javana. Only that is written. So you can see this dot something it has written. And dog is created. So this file is not readable, but your compiler is going to add explicitly those things there. If I open this class, animal 4, your animal 4 is also having parent string println animal is created, and this dot something, or the local variable table. Fine, and the fourth is the program which I was doing. This is source file, and under this something is written. So, so we can see automatically corresponding to our .java class, dot class is going to be generated, and in the generated dot class, your compiler is going to add this super keyword. So we need not to add it explicitly. Your compiler is going to add it, and that is the reason where you will be getting output as before dog is created, your super class is being called. So think in the sense that, okay, if I try to do something like this, if I want to add super here, see, your compiler itself is not allowing, because the rule of this and super is always in your constructor, the first statement should be super or this. Super statement will only come when you are having some explicit inheritance which you are going to use. Anyway, if there is any class also, that will be using object class as their parent class. Well, shall I move to next one? So now here, when we were learning this keyword and we were reusing the the parameterized constructor. Here also what we can do, we can reuse the parent constructor. Okay, how? I'm having a person class and I'm having an employee class. So this person is parent, this employee is child. And I just created one employee with the roll number as 1 Ankit and 45,000 as his salary, and I'm going to display. If I'm going to display, this thing should come ID, name, and salary. From where it is coming? So we have not done any operation. I just created this even. So if this even is going to be created, let's click here. Okay, it got corresponding constructor. What is the constructor? Having 3 variable 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3 variable ID, that is int, string, and float. So what I'm saying, super of ID and name, and this dot salary is this dot salary. Ideally, what we used to do generally here is we used to do something like this. This dot ID equal to ID. This dot ID equal to ID. Correct? This dot name equal to name. That is how we used to do. But this dot, 1 minute. This dot name is name. And if I'm not using this super, it is saying implicitly that that super should be created when you are writing it, because I have written here this, no problem. So what I want to explain you, say suppose if this compiler error is not there, then whatever output you are going to get by writing this two statement, the similar output we are going to get by using super keyword. So what this super is saying is, okay, boss, go here and find the parent class person and find the constructor which is having two argument. So we found the constructor 1 and 2 argument, int and string. So ID and name is there. So it is going to assign 1 to the even dot ID will be 1 and even dot name will be Ankit and even dot when I say this, which means even only, and even dot name is that one. Okay, let me run this. So you are getting 1 Ankit and 45,000. Fine, that was the implementation of using this keyword as a parent by if you want to reuse parent constructor. Moving to the next program, what it is saying. Okay, so here we have just created B1 and B2 as the object, and in the no argument constructor, we are saying speed equal to speed. And okay, this is example of what is this? This is IIB, instance initialization block. So before I execute and explain it from the theory from our PPT, if you remember something, what should be output of this program? Any guesses? Speed is 100, speed is 100. So moment your object has been created, when I say instance initialization block, the meaning itself is saying whenever your instance is been initialized, means whenever your object has been created, whenever it is going to call the constructor, that time this statement will automatically execute. Say suppose in the class you are saying it is line number 4 and it is line number 6. In case if this constructor is called first and this is the second, then you will be getting value as 0. That is the default value. But when this statement is executed, system.out.println, by that time the value of speed is becoming 100, which means this statement is executed in the first line of your constructor. Whenever your constructor has been created or your object has been created, automatically it will search how many IIBs are there in your program, and it is going to run all those IIBs. And those IIBs will be in the sequential order. And that's how you created the object 2 times. So 2 times this constructor got called and you got the value of speed as 100. So what is going to be invoked first, IIB or constructor? And this is the super example of finding that. So how many of you says constructor is invoked and IIB? Oh, already we have seen the previous program. So this should be your first output and this should be your second. IIB block invoked and then constructor. Let us run and see. So for 2 object, IIB instructor block is invoked. This is first time this statement is executed. This entire block got executed for the first object. And then it goes to your constructor and whatever is returned inside this, it is going to execute this for your second object. Once again, 2 times you are saying. So as a thumb of rule, whenever you are going to create any object, your control may come to here, but from the first line itself or the previous to that only, your IIB is going to call and then your constructor body part is going to be executed. Okay, we'll move to next one. Very important. Here what I was saying, your control is obviously the moment you create here object, control has to come here. Control is coming here And from this first line itself, it is jumping. When it is here, it is jumping to IIB, executed, and then executing the remaining body. Here in this example, we will be seeing that your IIB is going to be invoked after super. How? Class B2. And this. Okay. You want me to put debugger somewhere? Let's run this in debug mode. So you can see the moment I have created this object B, your control comes here, and so debugger was not here. Let me put one here also, and one into IIB. Let me finish this quickly. Yeah, and let me rerun it. And debug as Java application. Okay, now let's see. So if this object got created, which means it is coming into this constructor, and the first line of constructor should be what? Super. If you are not writing, also your compiler is going to write. Now, if this super is written, which means this is the child class, this is parent class, this will go into the parent class. In the parent class, you are having a constructor which is saying parent class constructor invoked. So it will execute this, and you can see parent class constructor invoked, which means this has been completed. Then where it is coming, this is our IIB. Okay, this entire block is IIB. Then it is coming to the IIB, and you can see instant initialization block is invoked. Then after that, it will continue the remaining body of your constructor. Then finally, you will get this output as child class constructor invoked. Okay, so that was just simple example. I will go to the project explorer once again. Fine. Let us close this variable and all. So as a thumb rule, execution is first your super keyword, then IIB, then the remaining constructor body. Let's close all. We'll move to the next one. Okay. So we are just creating one object. Yeah, it's fun. What should be the output of this particular program? Object 1 is created, object 2 is created, one is without parameter, another one is with one parameter. Let's quickly resolve this. A3 is not there. Do we have class A3 earlier? Okay. Class A3 got resolved. One parameter constructor, and let's have two objects. Okay. If we are going to execute, object is created, it will come here, and the super keyword is going to call. So our first statement should be parent class constructor invoked. Then this is going to execute, then child class constructor invoked. And when we are going to call second, then your control will come back here. When your second object is being created, it will come here again super. So you will get parent class constructor invoked, and then you will get child class constructor invoked, and the value you are passing as 10. So the 10 is going to be printed. Oh, sorry, wait. Before that, in between that, we have not seen this IIB. So this IIB will come. So what will be the output? Parent class constructor, then IIB, and then child class constructor. This three statement. Once again, for this object B2, parent class constructor because of this super keyword, and then this IIB, and then child class constructor plus 10. So total 6 statement is going to be printed. Let us run and see. Okay, run as Java application. So parent class IIB child class, parent class IIB child class with the value as 10. Fine. So it's simple. We'll move to another next one. Stop me if you are having any doubt, or you want me to reiterate on any specific program. Then once again going here. If you make, okay, now in our PPT we have seen the super keyword and the use of those super keywords, and then now let's come to the final keyword. So what we are saying is, if you make variable as final, you cannot change the value of variable. It will be constant. That is the program. So here, the moment I say, let's remove final first. If I remove final and run it, it is simple. Okay, this perspective is not good. That's why I need to run it here. Oh, we are not printing anything. That's why output was not coming. So say suppose if I print anything, that that print will come. But this has been executed, it's successful. But the moment we say here it as final, your compiler itself is saying, see this error, what the final field is C1 something something, the class name dot speed limit cannot be assigned. Why? Because you made it as final, which means it become constant. Now speed limit is 90, and the implementation also we have seen in our normal normal program where you want to set something. Okay, speed cannot exceed more than 90. If it is there, chances of accident, this or that, anything. So in the runtime, if I want to increase the speed as 400, it's not going to allow me. That is the maximum limit. Fine. So I cannot change it. Let's move to another program. If I'm going to make method as final, see, this is my parent class bike and Honda is my child class. In my Honda, I want to say running and then running safely with 100 km/h. I cannot override this run method. Why? Because this is final method. If it is not final, then obviously I can run it. And if I run this method, which is not final, then you are going to get output running safely with 100 km/h. See, method got successfully overridden. But if I do Control Z, if it's not allowing compiler, see, just think of a chance. If compiler allows, then the output should be running. But your compiler is saying, boss, you cannot override this method. So that was the program. And again, if you are making any class as final, if you are putting the keyword final before the class, you cannot extend it. Means you cannot create a child class of that class. See here, final bike. Bike is already defined. Bike 2, bike 2. At least this bike error got. Now in our program, just one simple error. The type Honda cannot subclass the final class bike. It was very small, that's why I'm reading and I'm telling to you. So we cannot make subclass from this. Okay, so final keyword is also covered. Is final method inherited? Interesting question. So my method is final. I know this method cannot be overridden, but obviously you can use the final method. It can be inherited. Let us run this. Bike 3, and an anonymous object we have created. No error. If I'm going to run this, here see running is coming. I am not having run method inside my child class, but it is accessing the run method from your parent class, which is the final. So something, if you want to decide at your parent class level and you don't want your subclass to change it, then you make those methods as final method. Okay, moving to next one. Question is, can we initialize blank final variable? So answer is no. Why no? Because your compiler, if you are not going to initialize it, your compiler will set default. Okay, if you are not initializing. But you are just keeping it as blank. How compiler will know whether I should put the default value or some value? So your compiler will give you compile time error itself. See here, this is compile time error. This is not due to this programming error that let me resolve. So you cannot keep your final variable as the blank variable. You need to put some value in that. Yeah, one implementation, it was saying that PAN card of the PAN number of the employee is not going to change. That's why it's permanent number. So we can make those variables as constant or final. Next one is a static final variable that is not initialized at the time of declaration is known as static final variable, and it can be initialized only in the static block. So data cannot be resolved when it's not fixed. Right. So here I cannot have a normal final instance variable in this class. You can see this is, if I say int of speed at this outside the function, then it will become instance variable. If it is inside the thing, it will become local variable from the theory, if you recall. If I am going to put static keyword, it will become class level variable, static variable. So with your if the variable is static variable, you can put the final, means you can have a blank static variable. but that blank static variable you can know access inside okay, inside static block itself. And when I say C15A data, you are going to get output as 50. Okay, so it's clear. So thumb rule instance variable, you cannot make it as final. You cannot declare it as final. You have to initialize it, but static variable is not required. You can have a blank static final variable. Let's move to next one. If you declare any parameter as final, you cannot change the value of it. So say suppose in this function, it says suppose this function is cube function. Let me resolve this programming error. And this is the cube function. Normally, if we do write this, it is going to give us the value of cube. Oh, that is it should be returned. Okay. So if I run this program and if I pass any value, then it has to give me the cube or something like that. But if I am going to make it as final, and then I am going to try to change, do some operation here. Inside function also, I cannot have a parameter as a final int or something like that. Okay, why? If I am having this thing, then I cannot do operations here. Say suppose if I comment out this and I'm going to run this, what is going to happen? Oh, there is no SOP. 1 minute. Let's write system dot and okay. No. 125. Lakshmi has already given the answer. So if I am doing like this, I am getting I'm getting output as n. But whenever you are trying to pass some variable in a function, means whenever there is some parameter, most of the times 95% of the times we used to do some operation on that. Say suppose if I do this operation, then I am not going to get the output because it is going to give me compile time error. Fine. So that is the reason it's not recommended to have the final here. In case if the value is not going to change, say suppose if there is a pi as a constant and if you want to send the value of pi, that can be here in terms of pi r square when you want to calculate the area. Okay. Okay, and there was one more thing here. Can we declare a constructor as final? So no. The reason is because constructor is never inherited. You are having constructor in the same class. You cannot inherit the parent class constructor. There is a concept which is known as constructor chaining, which can be, which is happen by the super keyword. So we never inherit parent class constructor. That is the reason we are not going to declare constructor as final. Yeah. See, if I'm going to put this constructor as final, it is the illegal modifier for constructor. So we cannot put final for constructor. Okay, moving to the next one. We can do this, but the thing is, if the speed limit is 90 in your run method, you cannot change the value. That is what it is trying to say. If I'm trying to do, see, if we are not doing this, we won't get any error. It will run smoothly. We are not having SOP here. If we put SOP, we'll get output as 90. But if we try to change the speed limit, no, we cannot. So that was example of this. And then if you make method as final, you cannot override it. That is also, we have seen. No, I believe I'm repeating the same programs. Yeah, we were here. This is done. We are now on program 17. Bike Splendor. So we are creating two classes. One is bike and another is Splendor. Bike is already created. So just be bike 3. Okay. And this is my Splendor. So do we have bike already? Already defined. So bike 31. So I'm having bike 31 and this is example of upcasting. Upcasting means if only this statement is written and you don't have the left hand side, we will say it is as anonymous object. And the concept of upcasting is smaller can be upcasted to bigger automatically. That we have seen implicitly, but downcasting we cannot do it. That we have seen in our primitive data type, and this is user defined data type. So what it is saying, you want to create an object of child and value you want to make it as parent class. So this thing is possible. And when you say b.run, which method it should call? If I do b.run, it is going to call this run method of your child class or parent class. What do you think? Chat is there, 60 kilometers per hour, which means child class is what Lakshmi is saying. Any other answer? So if you are going to run this, we will be getting running safely with 60 kilometers per hour. Why it is giving me error? It's multiple line comment. Okay, because of this thing, I believe. So what we are saying is we are creating two subclass, and whenever we are going to call the run method, that is reference variable. So your subclass method is invoked at the runtime. That is the reason when you are running it, that time this method is created. If you see the left part, if say suppose for one moment, if you forget about the right part and someone say, okay, this object has been created of this bike class, and if I run it, output should be running. But no, that is now it is happening. We are going to create an anonymous object, say suppose if it is anonymous object of class C, and let me do something like this. If I do this, if I do this, that is for sure that it is going to call this function only, run. Okay, see here how it is going. Control Z. If I do this, and let's see where it is going. My control is going to this run method of the bike. But when I am doing this run method is this run method at the compile time. See here, at the compile time, still this is going at running. See where my control is going. If I click here, it is going to the line number 2. Open implementation is that one. But in the runtime, it is going to call your child class method. So since method invocation is determined by JVM, not compiler, it is known as runtime polymorphism. So if it is compiler, what compiler thinks? Compiler is thinking that this run method is calling when you are writing this, correct? But your method invocation, who is doing? Your Java virtual machine is doing. And once Java virtual machine is doing, at the runtime, it is calling this method run. And this concept is known as runtime polymorphism. Got it? Why polymorphism? The word polymorphism is because you are having several functions with the same name. And runtime, because runtime you're deciding. Not only that, if you are having object B, C, D for Splendor, Hero Honda, Activa, and accordingly it is going to call. I can have bike B equal to new of Activa, bike D equal to new of Bajaj, something like that. Okay, we'll be moving to next one. Any doubt here? It was just the concept, no, which is being explained in this small program. Again, this is a concept of method overriding, and there was no upcasting. So I'm having a class bank, 3 subclass as SBI, ICICI, Axis, and bank B is the object, and I'm saying new of SBI, new of ICICI, and I can do this. So it's straightforward example. Rate of interest 8.4, 7.3, 9.7 is different. Okay, so you have created this just once, but whenever you're doing B dot get rate of interest, same method, and every time you can have a different object with that. And that is the beauty of this program. You need not to write as B1, B2, B3. With the same type as bank, you can execute the program like this. Okay, we'll move to the next one. Again, this is the example of polymorphism, method overriding. Let's move to the next program. Again, shape S you have defined, and now this S can be rectangle, circle, or triangle. Your main objective is to call this draw function. Okay, that's why we are saying whenever I'm calling draw, at runtime it is deciding which draw is being called. Okay, and see here parameter is also same, which means for a programmer, he may think, okay, I'm just calling one draw function. And compile time, it is of shape S, means the object is of class shape. See, every time if I put here on the draw, it is taking me to the parent class draw only. All these three draw method. But runtime, it will come here and it is going to print the corresponding functions. Okay, drawing rectangle, circle, triangle. Well, and this is also similar. Animal A, dog, cat, lion, eat. Same thing. Animal 3. Do we have animal 3? Already defined. Animal 33 then. And maybe we have dog also already defined. So dog 22. Okay, same example, you will get output as whatever. Eating bread, eating rat, eating meat. I was thinking it should be roti. I'm eating rat. Fine. Okay, it was straightforward. I'm just executing it. Rules. Runtime polymorphism cannot be achieved by data members. Yeah. So this is data member. Speed limit, speed limit. And there is no compile time error. See, I can have the same data member in my parent class. I can have the same data member in my child class. But we have several byte class, byte 22. And Honda. So what is this error? Syntax not complete body. This started here. This has not ended. Okay, one more curly braces then. Fine. Now, if I say object.speed limit, at compile time, this speed limit, it is referring to your parent class. Runtime, also, if we are going to execute, you are getting 90 only. So what it is saying is, it is saying, boss, your methods are there. Method, your runtime polymorphism is possible. But for data members, like for all this, these are known as data members. For data members, you cannot do runtime polymorphism. Method is overwritten of the data members, so runtime polymorphism cannot be achieved. Yeah, same domain. Fine, we'll move to next one. It should be Java. Java runtime polymorphism with multi-level inheritance. Animal, dog, and puppy. The same example we have seen. Animal 15, A1, A2, A3, animal 15, dog 15, dog 15, dog 15, animal 15. Yeah, baby dog. What happened to baby dog? Oh. Baby dog is our main method class. Yes. So if I say eat, 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 It is referring to the for A1 it is the same class, for A2 it is the parent class, for A3 it is the grandparent class or the multi-level inheritance class. And again the runtime polymorphism is going to happen, and when you are going to put the output for this eat, you will get eating. For dog you will be getting eating fruits. Baby dog drinking milk. Dogs fruits खाते हैं क्या पता नहीं. Okay. Eating fruits and drinking milk. So last one, try for output. Okay, what should be the output for this program? Please tell me. Time being, I will just resolve this errors. Comment what is the output of this program. 20. So here parent class, child class, animal 120, sorry, animal 20 and dog. So we are getting dog is eating. Same funda. Since baby dog is not overriding eat method, so eat method of dog class is invoked. Oh, it's the same thing. Nothing new I'm seeing in this program. Fine. So I believe we are through with this things. This concept. So concept which we have seen is the superclass, runtime polymorphism, and the final keyword. Oh, dog is eating. Lakshmi had output earlier only. Fine. Then now moving to. We are having 25 more minutes. Shall I take the next day 6 one also, correct? Stop me if you think it's more. Dynamic binding, instance of operator, abstract class, interface, abstract versus interface and package. All these things will be seen. I will just take 10 minutes to give you the concept over PPT. So when we say binding, there are two types of binding. One is static binding, second is dynamic binding. So for static binding, we used to say it as early binding, and at the compile time it used to happen. And dynamic binding is also known as late binding. So if there is a private, final, or static method, then you will be having a static binding, which means compiler has decided, and we are also sure that nothing is going to change. Means your JVM also cannot change the final or static thing, because static will be at the class level, final anyway nobody can change. Private is also something at the static level we can do it. When the type of object is determined at runtime, it is known as dynamic binding, which means in our previous program also we have seen, okay, we created animal A, and that A can be dog or cat or lion, and runtime when we are deciding it, that is known as sorry, dynamic binding. So this was the example of all these things we have seen. Dog d1 equal to new dog. So this is the example of your static binding. See, here also dog, here also dog. This is example of your dynamic binding. Okay, animal is there and dog is there, your parent class and child class. So all these are your examples for your late binding or dynamic binding. Instance of operator. Interesting. Many times when you will be doing programming, that time for comparing, no, uh, and what happens, no, when the dynamic binding or late binding runtime polymorphism is happening, object B is there, object D is there. Due course of programming, you are not aware that no, I'm dealing with whether it is dog or cat or what it is, and we want to compare it. Practical implementation is, say, suppose if you are developing some API, and in that API you are passing JSON, you need to put some condition, and then in the respective POJOs, with the help of POJOs, you want to save it in your DAO layer. That time it is very important, whether you are putting it in the right class or not, or else you will be getting runtime error. If it is compile time error, that's fine. But if you get runtime error, uh, exception will be thrown, and we don't want that. That is the reason we will be using this instance of operator for checking and all those things. So if I say suppose do dog d equal to new of animal, and in case uh, this is not possible, because this is parent class, this is child class. Uh, Upcasting is implicit. Automatically it happens, but this seems to be downcasting. Why downcasting? ये छोटा है, ये बड़ा है, छोटे को बड़ा करना not possible. So you will be getting compile time error. Now if you want to do this, still if you want to do this, we are going to make it as this dog of D. So if we do this, compilation will be successful. Compile time it will be successful, but runtime when you are going to do, you'll be getting runtime error. And that is the reason we need to see whether these two classes are compatible or not. That's why the instance of operator can be useful. That is the implementation implication of that. So Java instance of operator is used to test whether the object is an instance of specified class, subclass, or interface. Mainly these three things you will be checking. And this check is very important. And this is a keyword. This instance of, even though this is not in another color, but this is a keyword. And always you are going to use it for comparison. And when the subclass type refers to the object of parent class, it is known as downcasting. And okay, same thing already we have done. Fine. So I believe this concept is clear. We will be doing programming, then we will be seeing more on this. And abstract class. So your fresher interview questions, when we might be starting, what is difference between abstract and interface? Maybe in childhood days we used to learn this. So definition and everything you are aware, I can skip this. But in the abstract class, you can have 0 to 100% abstraction, and interface is 100% abstract class. Something like that. Here, 100% abstraction is there. And this abstract is a keyword in Java. So if you want to make any class as abstract class, you can have the keyword as abstract, and this can have the non-abstract method also. So whatever I'm saying is still up to Java 1.7, 1.8, or 1.7. After 1.8, there is something more on the abstract class that we can cover later. But when majority of people, this industry started working, major development happened in JDK 1.5, 1.6, and 1.7. Means most of the previous project now it is in 1.8 and then 1.9 and higher versions. It's going on. Abstraction is a process of hiding implementation details and showing only the functionality to the users. See, whenever we are defining interface, in interface, we are not writing any implementation method. Or you can say in interface, whatever methods will be there, those are blank methods. Whenever you are going to do a high level designing, that's why at that time you will be having those interfaces. In abstract class in Java, you know, out of 10 functions, you may have 2 to 3 implementation things later point of time, which you can implement later also. And then you can have some abstraction there. But altogether in nutshell, we are having abstract class when we want to hide something. If you are extending in an abstract class that have abstract method, you must either provide the implementation of method or make that class abstract. Yes. So in the programming, we will be seeing if we are not going to do this, we will be getting the compile timer. Our compiler will force us, boss, you are extending abstract class. Okay, already 3 methods is defined. The 4th method is not defined. You define at your level or how the things are going to happen. If some other person is going to call that function, it is not in the child class, if it is not in the parent class, the implementation is not there. What should we are going to do? Something like that. That is the reason it is saying you must either provide the implementation of the method or make the class as abstract. That's important. Interface. Okay, so we have seen this keyword as extend. This extend keyword where we were seeing in polymorphism we have seen, and in inheritance we have seen multi-level inheritance, sorry. That time we have seen, and we can have just a class A can extend class B. But when you say implements, and in your class diagram, the representation will be the bold arrow, and this is dotted arrow. Whenever you can see dotted arrow, which means it is talking about interface. So printable is an interface. And when your compiler is going to run the code, automatically your compiler is going to add public static final keyword for any data members which you are defining in your interface. Likewise, for any method, if you are not writing abstract, your compiler is going to add these 2 keywords, public, abstract, because see, it is interface. And if it is not public, what is the use of interface? That access modifier we will be seeing, but I believe a high level you would be knowing public, private, protected, and all. So interface is there. Interface has to be used by someone, which means the data members and the functions should be public in that, and you have not defined it as public. So that is the reason your compiler will make it as public. Second thing is printable interface is there, and you're not going to create any object of interface as such. Okay, that is the reason it is going to make it as static or final, because you are not going to create it any object. It should be at the class level, that is your interface. So the static keyword is added. And anyway, it is in interface, which means the abstraction you are trying to implement. That's why this keyword abstract is there. So Interface in Java is a blueprint of a class. It has static, constant, and abstract methods. So these two properties will make it as a interface. Apart from that, achieving abstraction, method body, and this is used to achieve multiple inheritance in Java. Ideally, we don't have multiple inheritance in Java by extend keywords, but still you want to achieve it. So the solution or the workaround for having multiple inheritances using the interface, which means I can do class A implements class B, comma C, comma D, comma E. Means I can have many interfaces which a single class can implement. Again, don't confuse with the term multiple inheritance. We don't have multiple inheritance because I cannot say that class B, C, D, E is a parent class of class A. Okay. And Java interface also represents is a relationship always. So there are two kinds of relationship. One is has a relationship, is a relationship. We have seen in detail. Has a relationship means employee has address. Is a relationship means dog is an animal, like that. And it cannot be instantiated just like abstract class. So this is all theory. We'll be seeing the example. And sometimes you will be seeing, okay, what is marker interface? All these are theory questions only. But an interface which have no member is known as marker interface or tag. Means you are just tagging the interface. Like serializable is a marker interface in Java. You see, blank, nothing is there. And interface can have another interface also inside it. It is known as nested interface. In Java, you can have the nested class also. Likewise, you can have nested interface. Marker interface or the blank interface can be serializable, clonable, remote. All these are marker interface. And then you guys might be thinking, बस सागर मतलब क्या है, कुछ तो लिखा नहीं है, लिखा क्यों है फिर? So that's mainly for giving message to JVM that JVM will get the signal, okay, serializable interface is there, I need to do some certain operation on that. Okay, clonable interface is there, need to do something for remoting I have to do. Okay, they have marked already it as interface, they tag that interface. So the main objective of having this marker interface is for giving the message to your Java virtual machine. Difference between abstract versus interface theory, I will give to you. Go and just find it out. I'm skipping this slide. Package. Oh, package already I believe you might be using in project, but let's see. So this Java is, say, suppose main package, lang util awt is the sub package, and in the sub package you can have the classes. And in our Eclipse also, or in IDE also, we can create a package, sub packages and all. Well, what we used to do, you can see this import keyword. So far we have not imported anything. Very basic program we were doing, but if there is some import keyword written, it is going to import either the entire package or the class name. So import something dot something dot something you will be seeing. So the first something means XYZ whatever will be there, that will be your main package. Then dot will be your sub package, and so suppose if you may have 2-3 dots also, which means package inside package inside package. So why this package is important? Because you want to group the similar classes or interface or sub package into one thing, and that is the reason you want to arrange it and put it like inbuilt package in Java is the package, lang is the package, AWT, JW, Java X Swing, Net, IO, Util, SQL, all these packages are already predefined in Java, and and when we will be using any predefined class, they will be coming mainly from this package, just only. This lang package, most of the times you will be end up in using it from here. So it provides access protection. We'll be seeing about that public-private protected keywords, how in package it can differ, and it will remove the name collision. Why name collision? You were seeing I was having default package, and in our programming, every time I need to CA1, CA2, means I'm changing the name for animal 1, animal 22, animal 33. I'm doing. So can I have means I can have a different name and all those things also. Well, that is about package. This is about sub package. And so com.xlen.core is the sub package. And this is big thank you from my end. Okay, was 7 minutes. Let's jump to some programs also quickly. Let me close this project. Day 5. Oh, why to close? I will import there only. Let us have new project as day 5. You can do close unrelated project also like this. It's going to close others. Let me import file systems. Okay. Okay, let's quickly see 2 to 3 programs at least. Yes. Hey, hi guys, Sagar here. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, my system got hanged. I cannot do anything there right now. I just log in from the mobile. So we will meet maybe the next, I believe for today, it's okay. Yeah, I think now I'm back on the system. Fine, guys. So we'll meet tomorrow. I don't know who's. Yeah, it's completely hanged. Okay, sure. Thanks, everyone. We'll meet next time. Thank you.
Thank you.